There we go. Now we got it. That is really loud in my ears. It's very loud in my ear holes. There we go. So, give me 1 second. I gotta turn that volume down a little bit. It's so loud. I like the music, but ow, my ear holes. My poor ear holes. Okay. Well, you obviously know this game. It's not that hard to figure out. But I found some different things out if we take a different path. So, I am actually going to take this path.
Hold on there! Before you start the game, I need to ask you a few things. Don't want you getting lost now.
Yeah.
First of all, have you read the first story, Seduce Me the Otome? Like, seriously read it. No skimming, no pretending to read it. No. It's okay if you haven't, but there are a lot of things in this game that you won't understand unless you fully experienced and understood that story first.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Next question. You do know this is Diana's route, right? The succubus princess that tried to bring the boys back to the demon world?
Yep.
Oh,
I know.
Awesome. All right then. Diana's a very interesting character, huh?
For sure.
Anyway, I have one last question for you. Some people like hearing the trigger warnings before they start games, while others don't really care and just want to play. It's cool either way, but do you want to know about some of the content listed in the game?
Sure.
No problem. It's my pleasure. Well, this game is recommended for players ages 18 and up. Trigger warnings include suicide, war, torture, mentions of rape, and a large amount of violence and sexual content. Don't worry though, any sex scene choice you encounter is completely up to you. You can play this game without needing to go through the sex scenes and still get the good endings. Consent is important. I think that should be everything. All right. Phew, that took a while.
You forgot something.
Huh? What did I forget?
You forgot about the disclaimer.
Oh, crap! Oh, how could I have forgotten about that?
It's fine, I'll take care of it. This game was produced by Michaela Laws using the Ren'Py visual novel engine. We truly hope you enjoy this story.
Thanks, Diana. Now, don't you have a war to go fight?
I do. I just wanted to make sure everything was in order before the story began. I'll take my leave now.
Thanks, Di.
Do not call me Di!
Anyway, we really do hope you like the story. Have fun! See you at the end.
Alright. Name time. We all know what I'm gonna name it. First of all, I did play the original game, The Seduce Me, and I did go Diana's route on this one, so I do know the backstory, and I did find out some interesting information that kind of ramped everything up. So I actually found out that Diana is the reason that my character's grandfather died. She didn't do it on purpose. She was doing what she had to do. But find out. I was in love with the succubus. It's true. I had fallen for the charms of a succubus, and I was about to dive headfirst into the demon world with her to save her kingdom.
Do you have any regrets?
None. Smiled as Diana held me in her arms and carried us both through the night sky. We'd shared a sweet kiss, the first of hopefully many in the future, and were about to cast a spell to enter the demon world. Diana looked to the ground that was far below us and pointed her free hand down towards it, closing her eyes.
Revetara tenebras, gerato locum, pater portas.
I didn't initially intend to blade Diana when I was actually playing Seduce Me again. It just happened that way. I don't know, I just tried the options. I took the route and it was interesting, so I learned quite a bit this way too, so yeah. As the last word left her mouth, a large purple pentagram appeared in the grass before twisting and becoming a black void. I gripped onto Diana, scared at what I was seeing.
Last chance.
I gulped at the sight, not sure of what to make of this. Was this really what I wanted to do? How's it going, Hanger? My curiosity, however, guided my decision and forced me to take a deep breath. Close my eyes and let calm wash over me before looking up at Diana. You don't have to have the sex, Blue. It's just a warning. Let's go. Diana smiled and wrapped both arms around me, laying a protective hand over my head.
Hang on.
I tightened my grip on Diana, obeying her command. As I held tight, I felt air quickly begin to rush past our bodies as Diana tilted back and began to let us fall towards the ground. Was she insane? I looked at Diana, seeing her smirk at me before closing her eyes. I did the same, naturally preparing for an impact with the ground. What I felt was a cool rush of energy brushing over my skin, as if I had fallen into water. I slowly opened my eyes and found myself staring into a vast, dark space, holding onto a woman who was no longer wearing clothes. No, she's not completely naked. See? I was clinging to a woman who had nothing, but instead had purple marks across her skin and horns adorning her head. However, I could tell that this woman was still Diana, just by looking into her eyes. Diana smiled at me and kissed my forehead before tightening her hold on me and muttering softly.
Adlelith Castra.
I held onto her body as I felt us begin to move through the space, as if a giant fan had pushed us forward. Onward we continued through the darkness, with me unsure of where we were going and Diana guiding the way. We began to slow, and soon a small light appeared, slowly growing as we got closer to it. I had to shut my eyes as it began to consume me. I felt weightless. I couldn't feel anything except the woman in my arms, and it felt somehow exquisite. I wanted to drown in this feeling, become lost in it. However, our journey through the light was coming to an end. Ugh, why did my camera do that? The light around us faded away, and soon I found myself lying on Diana as she lay on a stone floor. Ugh. Excuse me. The air, however, smelt of fire and blood. I looked up, seeing fire everywhere in sight. What the hell? This was the demon world?
It's Anger!
A loud shout forced me to look over and see a man running at me with a spear and a rage-filled expression. I screamed and rolled off of Diana, scooting away to avoid being skewered. As he continued towards me, I screamed, "No!" I looked up to see Diana kneeling in front of me and gripping the man's spear, pointing it away from her. The man stared wide-eyed at Diana as she glared back.
My lady, you live?
Of course I do. I told you I would return, and thus I have.
The man gave a small sigh of relief, lowering his weapon and propping it up to lean against it. As I examined him now that he wasn't gunning for me, he was wounded and exhausted, panting heavily and gripping his spear tightly.
I'm so glad.
As he finally toppled over, Diana gasped and rushed over, kneeling beside him.
Settle!
I rushed over as well, wanting to see what was going on. Who was he? Why did he attack me? Why was the room on fire?
Settle! What happened?
We were attacked by the Demon Lord. He took advantage of your absence.
I began to cough violently. We needed to get out of this room, wherever we were. Diana, we need to get out of here. Diana nodded and grabbed my hand, and Sarah's, chanting under her breath. The room around us began to shift, as if it were changing instead of us moving. Soon, we were outside a castle, staring at it as flames erupted from each window. What was happening? Diana's face was a pure shock, staring at the castle in absolute terror. All of the color, besides for the purple marks on her skin, had faded to a pale white in horror.
We drove them back, but the flames are too powerful.
At that moment, something in Diana's eyes changed. Her anger sparked, and she stood, quickly walking around us and towards the castle. Diana!
Come! I command thee, white winds! Cross these spiders beneath your hands!
I stared as the wind in the air quickly began to pick up, and a purple glow began to surround Diana's body. It was like a storm was rushing towards us. There was no rain or thunder, just wind. The winds forced back the flames that danced in the windows, and smoke began to rise from each one, signaling the death of the fire. The windows continued to be filled with wind and air, most likely to kill the flames deep within the walls. I, however, could only stare at Diana. Her body was rigid, and her gaze was intently focused on the stone castle. Soon the winds began to die out, and all that was left was smoke rising from the windows into the dark purple and black sky.
You did it. How?
Diana looked to Sarah, intensity still embedded in her eyes.
Where are the king and queen?
I heard Sarah's breath hitch, and I turned to look at him. He had a look of pure pain and guilt. What had happened? Diana walked over and stared down at him, now almost glaring daggers at him as she clenched her fists at her sides.
Speak, Seduce!
The imp demons. While we were fighting the flames in the army, the imp demons snuck through our defenses.
This is driving me nuts. Not what I was trying to do. Not what I was trying to do either. Whatever. My heart, despite not fully understanding the situation, began to tighten. Something was incredibly wrong. Sarah shut his eyes as a pair of demons, I assumed to be allies, rushed over and began casting magic over his body, closing his wounds.
They snuck into their room.
Diana suddenly turned and bolted towards the castle, causing me to jump up. Diana! I began to sprint after her, following her inside the castle and trying to keep up with her. Her panicked breath kept me following her direction, despite her fast twists and turns through the ashy corridors.
No.
I could hear Diana sobbing, praying as she ran. Did my best to keep up, not wanting to lose her and not wanting her to be alone right now. We turned in a long hallway that had a pair of golden doors at the end. They were unscathed, as if the flames had not disturbed the door, or perhaps the room behind it.
Please be alive. Please!
Diana bolted for the doors and began to pull them open, grunting at the weight. I stopped running, skidding forward from the abrupt stop. Whomever she wanted alive, I hoped that they were as well. As the doors finally opened, however, the foul stench of blood erupted from behind them, the scent filling my nostrils. Yeah! Diana flung the doors wide open and could only stare at the sight we both saw. Blood. Blood covered the floor, the walls, the ceiling. The entire room was painted in gore, skin, bone, and massive amounts of blood. Only 3 things, barely coated in blood, stood in the middle of the room on the ground. 2 broken crowns, and a small tiara that was barely large enough to fit a newborn's head.
No.
Diana slowly walked into the room, the blood on the ground painting her bare feet, and she fell to her knees in front of the items, staring down at them. I couldn't bring myself to enter the room with her. I watched as she lifted them to her chest, curling her shoulders over herself and shaking almost violently.
Father. Mother. Audibel.
As she continued to grieve over the ornaments in her hands, a dark, almost deadly and evil-looking aura surrounded her body. It began to flicker and grow, like a dark flame that wanted to engulf the room she knelt in. As it reached an apex and began to violently flicker through the room around her, Diana arched back and screamed to the ceiling, her voice heavily laced with magic, pain, and rage.
I'll kill you!
Ow, my ear holes. That was loud.